let's talk about
something really terrible.
The worst thing. So, Jonathan Manziel, you may recognize that name. He was Mr. Texas Football in 2012 here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. He was our Dave Campbell's Texas Football cover boy in 2013. 2011, he was Mr. Texas Football. 2013, he was our cover boy after winning the Heisman Trophy. We know Johnny Manziel, like as far as our magazine is aware of him.
Right.
And you probably know that he's been with the Browns and he's run into he has not performed well on the field. You can excuse on the field problems if that's fine. There's a lot of quarterbacks who struggle, especially in the early going.
Yep.
But it's the stuff that's off the field that's really been problematic. And that is really coming to a head here this week. And it came out on Thursday or Friday, that his girlfriend, Colleen Crowley, has filed a police report and sought a protective order from the Fort Worth Police after an incident on January 29th and 30th. And I'm going to try to give you the gist of it without going into the gory details, but more or less, they were out on this Friday night. They had been broken up for a while, but they started to get together. They met up at a hotel in uptown Dallas. They were hanging out. To quote Crowley, "We started having a discussion about things I had heard earlier in the week about him being with a girl who had caused us problems in the past. I told him that if he was going to spend the night, it would be on the couch, or if I was going to spend the night, it would be on the couch. It was then that Manziel threw me on the bed. He claimed it was playfully, but it frightened me, and I took it seriously. I decided I wanted to leave the hotel, but when I got to his room door and tried to open it, he restrained me from leaving, and I tried to fight it off. I became very scared that he was going to hurt me." Then Crowley says that Manziel dragged her to the car and drove her away. Quote, "Although I did not want him to take my car, he would not take no for an answer. When we got to the valet, I was crying and begged the valet, 'Please don't let him take me. I'm scared for my life.' The valet replied, 'I don't know what to do,' and proceeded to let Manziel literally throw me in the front passenger seat of the car. And he went around and got in the driver's seat. After leaving the valet stand, she tried to jump out of the car and hide. He grabbed me by the hair, threw me back in the car, and he hit me with his open hand on my left ear for jumping out of the car. I realized immediately that I could not hear. Apparently, it turns out that she now has a ruptured eardrum.
Yeah.
During the drive, I was crying and telling him, 'I hate you, just leave me alone, I hate you.' Manziel was going to drop me off, take my car, and go kill himself. I thought maybe he was on drugs or having a psychotic break, so I tried to calm him down. I started crying even more, and he said, 'Shut up or I'll kill you both.'
Kill us both, right?
I'll kill us both,
yeah.
rather. I would never, quote, 'I would never kill you. You don't deserve that. I would only kill myself.' He was not making sense. It goes on like this. So there's a couple of things here. First of all, it's pretty clear that something is really wrong with Johnny Manziel in his life. If even part of this is true, okay? If even, and there are two sides to every story, sure, but if even part of this is true, there's something seriously, seriously, seriously awry in Johnny Manziel's life, be it a drug problem or an alcohol problem or both, or simply mental problems. That is something we need to take into account. Yeah. There's that, and he clearly needs help, okay? Hard stop. What we need to avoid here is treating him any differently than we would treat anyone else who's accused of domestic violence. I want you to think about how we have thought about Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy, who played for the Cowboys this past year, is a revolting person. I don't think that's a real hot sports opinion.
No.
He is a bad, terrible, unrepentant, revolting person.
Yeah.
What is the difference in this case between Johnny Manziel and Greg Hardy? They both put, allegedly, and it's important to remember that he has not been convicted or anything, but allegedly, they both put their hands on a woman, and they both threatened a woman, and they both caused a woman bodily harm and caused her fear.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. It's important to say. But it is important to be consistent in how you feel about these people. And just because he's from Texas, just because he went to Texas A&M, just because he is Johnny Football, just because he won the Heisman, just because he was a Dave Campbell's Texas Football cover boy, just because he was a Mr. Texas Football, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters here is that this is a guy who put his hands on a woman. And that is something that we as a society do not tolerate and should not tolerate.
Yeah.
You can say that he needs to get help, and that's fine. But you also need to come out and say what he did was horrific, and if it's up to me, he's not playing football anymore.
Right.
That's just me. Now, you can make the argument because being a football fan is being a sports fan is becoming more and more difficult, because with the media coverage, and we know more and more about these athletes, trying to find, if you make the mistake of trying to make these guys role models, you're going to run into problems. But if we as a society have decided that domestic violence is not something we're going to tolerate, then we have to view Johnny Manziel and Greg Hardy and Ray Rice all in the same boat. And there are not, to me, this is just me, there are not degrees of this. Okay? You can say, oh, well, Greg Hardy threw this girl on a couch covered in machine guns. That's way worse than what Johnny Manziel did. I don't care. I don't make that kind of equivocation. The bottom line is, you can feel two things at once. You can feel like, I want Johnny Manziel to seek help, and you can also say he is, as presently constructed, if these things are true, if these allegations are true, a despicable person. Because those are the actions of a despicable person. Plain and simple. I don't care if he's hopped up on drugs. I don't care if he's drunk. You don't do that. Period.
Yeah.
Period. It sucks because I think that as somebody as people who cover these guys, we always want to assume the best, right?
Right.
Especially when they're so good on the football field, and we so enjoy watching them do what they do on the football field. But it sucks. It sucks, and the bottom line is that Johnny Manziel probably shouldn't play football anymore. It's just the bottom line of it. If he can, if this is the way that he is going to, if this is the way that he's going to conduct, and this is the person that he is, and we can make the decision, and the people in power can make the decision of who should be able to represent the NFL and who should be able to represent franchises, there shouldn't be anybody out there who should say, yeah, we'll take it. There just shouldn't. That's the bottom line of it. We're DCTF Live. Do you have anything else to add? I'm sorry.
No, you pretty much summed up all my feelings, and the sad part is this whole thing doesn't really seem to be ending. We got the report today that he apparently showed up drunk to one of the last practices of the season for the Browns. The Browns lied about him having a concussion to cover things up.
Well, and the thing is, and honestly, I hate to say it, I don't care about that.
I don't care about that either. But I'd say
because compared to that, I mean, if the allegations from his ex-girlfriend were not out there, then yeah, I'd probably care about that a little bit. Be like, wow, he probably needs to clean up his act.
I think it's.
But once you do this,
yeah.
I mean, look, if you go burn down a house, but then you pee in my yard, I'm not going to be upset about you peeing in my yard.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. comparing them at all. I think it's just kind of at this point the whole thing just gets sadder and sadder because we find out more and more. And
there's
it doesn't really matter at this point to me how bad any of it is. It's all just making it worse.
And I know there's going to be the people who are like, oh, the moral outrage, the moral outrage police. Listen, if we can't agree that hitting a woman is wrong, then we literally cannot agree on anything.
Yeah.
So call me the moral outrage police. Call me whatever you want.
I'm sorry. There's not. I'd be surprised if any of the Texas high school football coaches that we have in this show would disagree. I think rule number 1 in their program is probably don't ever put your hands on a woman. That's not a tough thing for all of us to agree on.
It's just I don't know.
I mean,
it makes my brain hurt, and it honestly it makes my heart hurt. It does. It makes my heart hurt for the victim.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't know. It's just really, really frustrating to see somebody with the kind of athletic talent that he has throw it away because he wants to act like a jackass.
Or he has issues that he can't control, and
maybe he does.
And
maybe he does, and I hope he gets that help. But as presently constructed, he is a despicable person if these allegations are true. And again, they're just allegations.